Hey, good morning, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to another time here. Welcome to another time at the book club. Thanks for coming. Welcome on Instagram Live. Great to be back here. With a book club. We get to do this on Sundays, and thanks for coming along. I'm gonna bring up my slide, but before I do that, just to a reminder, the book we're looking at is The Good Life by Robert Waldinger and Mark Schultz, right? There's a book that was released in January of this year. And it's just a compilation of the study on the results thereof of human development, human adult development that's been carried out by the Harvard School. It's 84 plus years of study. So going over different generations, including people like John F. Kennedy, that have been studied over the 84 plus years and seeing what makes for a good life, what makes for a happy life, what makes for a healthy life, So as we read it, we're trying to see what they learned from the study and seeing how we can apply that in our own life so that our own life can be better. We can live truly a good life, not just that we're living life, not just that we're having the length of life, but we're also having the width thereof. We're getting the fullness of life. We're having life indeed in abundance. Like the Holy Book would say, that we might have life and have life more abundantly, not in miserly portion, but life that we enjoy having, the life that we feel fulfilled having, life that is memorable, a life that is rewarding, life that is fulfilling, life that is life indeed, not a living dead. So that's what we're hoping to get out of this, the book and the study time together. So we've been reading the book. We finished chapter 2 last week, and today we're going to go on here to chapter 3 today. That's what we're doing today. We're probably going to do 3 to 4 segments in chapter 3 to finish it. So today we're going to take the first part of that. The first part of chapter 3 is what we're going to read today. And the title of chapter 3 is relationship on the winding road of life, relationship in our adult life, relationship as we grow and develop, so don't let me take away the thunder from the session itself. Let me hold back. I'm going to bring up my slide. I will take it in little portions. All righty. So it's a study continuing the book. Again, it's a book written by two people, Robert Waldinger and Mark Schultz, right? And they lead the Harvard School of Adult Development. And so title again for this chapter is Relationships on the Winding Road of Life. So this is our first read into it. We'll probably have 2 or 3 more reads to finish the chapter. And pretty much, the chapter starts with this quote: "Our destiny is frequently met in the very paths we take to avoid it." Right? Some of us try to avoid what we think or suppose is our destiny. And I can tell you that from my own life experience, at some points in time, while I was younger, I used to tell my mom, that I'm going to be a preacher, I'm going to be a teacher, all of that. I'm going to preach all of that, but as I grew up, it was not necessarily the path I wanted to go as I struggled through developmental growth years, when I did not know myself. I wasn't necessarily fascinated or drawn to being a pastor, because I felt it was going to be limiting in some sense, so that was probably one of the things I tried to keep away from. I remember going for youth service, and the first place I was, I was alone in one big house, colonial house, and it was like this might be the place where I will get called into full-time ministry. And not as if I was scared into full-time ministry, but I was struggling with a lot of things in the mental realm. I was struggling with a lot of things from a maturity standpoint. And I didn't want to get locked up into something that is not for me per se, that I didn't fully understand, and but all of that also coming into a place of relationship. And I put in so much energy trying to make a relationship work that didn't work. I kind of took away from all of that, the truth that which, the Holy Book also adduced to, the Holy Book would say that if you protect your life, if you want to keep your life, you will lose it. But if you give your life, then you will get it. And what I learned from that has stayed with me is the fact that which we cannot let go, we cannot have, but if something is truly yours and you let it go, then it will come back. If it comes back to you, then it is yours, right? Life is not about being overly protective about something we think we must have or something we think we must not have. When we're walking such anxiety, then we're not in a place of rest. We're not in a place of equilibrium. And most often than not, the thing we're trying to protect will lose, and that's what I see as I look at this quote by Akin de Great. He says, our destiny is frequently met in the very path we take to avoid it. It's kind of a reverse of a truth I shared, but the reverse is also true, and I love that. That reminds me of another quote by Maya Angelou. So it's called the principle of reverse. Every truth also works in the reverse. It's also true in the reverse. But here, when we run away from something, it's most often than not something that we ought to be a part of. When we're overly protective about something, it's probably most often than not are things that we cannot have, So where we need to be, it's come to a place of rest, where we understand and trust the universe, where we understand and trust the setting of God, that everything will come to a place of equilibrium. Right? We don't get things by being anxious. We get things by, doing our own part. Everything is set into motion in life. All life is looking for is that we do our own part in that big mix of things, do our own part, and as we do our own part, every other thing falls into place, right? So again, that quote again says our destiny is frequently missed. No, like I say, this is a reverse. Our destiny is frequently met in the very path we take to avoid it, right? And beginning to break that down, if you avoid something on purpose and try to take a different option, what you try to avoid will encounter you on the path and you anyway would have to confront it, right? That's one of the breaking down to it, and it is the fact that whatever you run away from, life is not about running away from things. That's probably another principle I've learned and I live my life by. Life is not about running away from life. A winning life, a succeeding life, and overcoming life. It's about running to, not running away from. But life is not about what we will run away from. It's about what we run to. Right? When we run away, then we are in the losing part of life. Right? When we run to, then we're in control. When we run from, we're typically doing that by reason of fear. When we run to, we're doing that typically by faith. Right? Life is about knowing what to run to. And as we run to, our tool keeps us away from the things we need to keep away from, right? So anyway, the whole balance of it at the end of the day is that we'll live life by faith, not by fear, right? We live life by knowing the things we should aggregate towards and then work and plan our life to aggregate towards it, right? and that's important, right? At the end of the day, it's doing things that would help us rather than doing things that would not help us and drive us away, from the path of life, right? So the other breaking down today says we either make wise choices for our highest good or the divine will make it for us, right? So that's another part where we say life, is always seeking equilibrium, right? If you don't make your choices to move towards the goals that you have set, your dream, your target in life, somehow life has a way of finding its own equilibrium, right? God is going to probably drive you towards it. And that's when we have issues where we have life happening to people. Most often than not, when life happens to you, it's because there's something in your life that you're not doing. There's something in your life that's out of balance, right? Life happening to you typically is to call your life to a place of equilibrium, to a place of order, right? It's a calling to something you're probably taking for granted, you're being complacent about, and life, happening typically kind of wakes you up back to life, and we can avoid a whole lot of those things, or the effect on our lives if we do the things we're supposed to do, if we do our own part in life, right? If we do our own part in life and we are two words, we're intentional and we're proactive. We're intentional and we're proactive. So when God says that we should have dominion, right? One of those ways we have dominion is by being intentional about life. You cannot have dominion if you're not intentional about life, right? If you're going to have dominion and reign in life, then you have to be intentional about life. You have to be proactive. You have to take the first step towards what you want to do, right? Only when you do those two things, then will life support you. Then will the world support you. Then will the universe support you. Then will God support you. Otherwise, life will work against you, right? In a sense, calling you to order, right? So still further breaking that down, right? It says blaming our past for not taking action to change our destiny for good is taken from a weak man's playbook. So losers will always look for something to blame. They'll look for whether it's the government, it's the country they were born, their tribe, their gender. Nothing is to blame for your life. Only you are to blame. We all are responsible for our lives, right? Nothing else but ourselves. It's not the card that life has dealt to us in life that's important. It's what we do with the card that life has dealt to us that's important, right? Life happens to everybody, right? Life happens to everybody, not just you. Nobody's after you. Nobody has your name cooked somewhere. When life happens to you, just know that it's a normal thing for life to happen. And it doesn't just happen to you, it happens to everybody else, right? And it's not about life happening, it's about what you do with the life that happens to you. That's what differentiates people out, right? No one is born to win or born to lose. Everybody takes life, and what they get is what they do with the life they've been given. Yes, we have all been given different cards in life, right? Yes, we might all not start from the same point, but everything has been given because God, the creator, trusts that we can do something good with what we have been given. There's a faith in us, there's a belief in us, and it's up to us to live up to that faith, to that belief, because we can, right? And we will not be the first and will not be the last. We have a host of witnesses around us, right? Who have gone before us, who have had worse situations than we had, and they have made something good out of it, right? So your past is not your destiny, right? Your past is not the end of your life, right? You can change your future at any moment. Irrespective of where you have come from to where you are, you can change your present and your future. It's all about what you do with what you have, not what you don't have. What you do with what you have, not what you don't have. For as long as you're wishing and you're not respecting or valuing the seed in your hand, your life will not get better. At every point in time, you have something in your hand, which is a seed for your greatness. What you do with it is what is going to make a difference in your life, whether your life will be better or not, right? It's the decisions we make, not the conditions of our life, that determine our destiny, right? Every point in time is your decision that determines your destiny. There's nothing like fate, Don't be deceived by, I see a lot of these scam. You are firstborn, you are lastborn, and all of those stupid things, right? Jack Ma didn't do any of those stupid things, come around, and is a rich man, right? You don't need all of that, right? But you need to make the right decision at every point in time. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how life has treated you up to this point. It's the decision you make today that will make a difference in your life, that will make a difference in your today and your tomorrow. It's up to you to decide to do the right things. Decide to do the right things. Decide to find the right information and walk by them. Scripture will say, wisdom is the principal thing. In all you're getting, get sense, get understanding, get sense. If you get sense, your life will be different. The reason why people are poor and they're depressed and they don't see forward is because they lack common sense. They lack sense. The scripture says, get sense. If you get sense, your life will be better, right? And it's all within our reach. Is within our grasp. We can lay hold of it and do something about it, right? So there are times when circumstances are out of control, no doubt about that. Life happens to us all. People die, accidents happen, that we don't have control over, right? I'll just share with my secondary school alma mater earlier on this morning, and we're just talking about investment. And I was just trying to say that the secret, you're going to prosper to the extent to which you can handle uncertainty. Uncertainty will always be a given in our lives. You will not have a certainty about everything in your life. Your ability to find a place of comfort, a place of rest, a place of being able to use or prosper in the midst of uncertainty will determine the degree and extent to which you can succeed in life, right? I'm not talking about being stupid. I'm talking about coming to a place of comfort by being able to take control of the things you can control. There are always going to be things you can't control, but to what extent are you handling the things you can control? To that extent, will you be able to handle the things you cannot control? To that extent, will you be comfortable and at rest in the midst of uncertainties, whether it be uncertainties today or uncertainties tomorrow? The way we guide ourselves against uncertainty is by making the best use of the things we are certain of and we have control over, right? So there will always be things you cannot control. That the way we respond will determine the road we will take and the attitude we will have along the way, right? That's going to determine the way we respond, and the way we respond will determine what we get out of every situation of life, right? So